What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Gaming Show. My name's AJ Gels. How y'all doing? We are back with Fairy Tail. Real quick, before we hop into episode, or to part 2, I guess, I just found this. Apparently there is a character, kind of like encyclopedia, for this. So we can actually run through all the arcs of the story pretty quickly. They have synopses and whatnot, same with characters and terminology. So I'm actually going to go through all of this in this part, and then in the next video we're going to hop into part 2. So we can actually really go in. Hopefully this will fill in any gaps that I might have missed, or clear up anything that I might have misinterpreted. I wouldn't have done my big thing or whatever if I would have known that this existed, but is what it is. So let's start with the story. So this is going to go over all the major arcs that happened before that little prologue here. So yeah, there are 8 major arcs that happened. So the first one is the Eisenwald arc. Eisenwald became a dark guild when they were evicted from the Wizard Guild League for carrying out assassinations. The members of this guild planned to attack the local Guildmaster League during their regular meeting, which Master Makarov was to attend. Natsu, Lucy, Gray, and Erza foiled the plot, but the mass murder curse magic Lullaby, created by the Black Wizard Zeref, was manifested, taking on its ethereous form as one of the demons of the Book of Zeref. Lullaby wastes no time in its attack. Natsu and friends band together to take it down, and from that point on decide to continue working together. That's basically where they create the strongest magic team of Natsu, Lucy, Gray, and Erza. Or at least they called it the strongest team, because Erza was already one of the strongest mages within Fairy Tail. Natsu and Gray, even though they're really dumb together, they're always butting heads and kind of outrageous, they are both extremely strong. And Lucy really starts to come into her own even during the Eisenwald arc. But I think this is probably the arc where Lucy actually really does become more. We really see the ability that she has and her tenacity and everything as a member of Fairy Tail. So this is the Sub-Zero Emperor Leon arc. I'm gonna go with Leon until I hear it pronounced, because I cannot remember exactly how to. Because I think it was spelled differently in the manga, or at least the translation I saw. Either way, this arc. Natsu broke the guild rules to take on an S-class request, and ends up dragging Gray and his friends to Galuna Island. Here they find Leon trying to resurrect Deliora, one of Zeref's Aetherius, and the one who killed Gray's parents. Or, master to both Gray and Leon, used the magic iced shell and allowed her own body to turn into ice in order to seal Deliora. Leon's goals is to overcome Ur by defeating Deliora with his own magic. Fairy Tail incapacitates Leon, but are too late. To Leon's joy, Deliora's seal is broken, but it disintegrates before his very eyes, having already died within its ice prison. A changed Leon joins Lamia Scale in the aftermath. Lamia Scale, one of the other guilds of Fiore. There's also a few other characters who join along with him. So that's the basics of that arc. That was it kind of gives us Gray's backstory, and his motivations. It kind of shows his early rival before Natsu and his time before the guild, which then we move on to the Phantom Lord arc. Phantom Lord is where we get introduced to Gajiel and Juvia and all these characters. So the Phantom Lord is one of Fairy Tail's rivals, and when their Gajiel attacks Levy and other members of Fairy Tail, the two guilds go to war. Yet this was all according to the plan plotted by Phantom Lord Masters Jose, whose goal was to capture Lucy as per a request from her father. Natsu and friends defeated Gajiel and the incredibly powerful Elemental Four, including Juvia and Totomaru, while Makarov uses one of the 3 great fairy magics, Fairy Law, to bring down Jose and protect Lucy. After this, Gajiel and Juvia join Fairy Tail, the latter having fallen head over heels in love with Gray during their battle. So that's pretty much what it is. I mean, it kind of introduces Lucy's father, who will stop at nothing to bring Lucy back to the house. Lucy is kind of rebelling against her father, especially after her mother's death to a mysterious illness. That's kind of all that. It didn't really go too terribly much into Lucy's backstory, but, we get a little idea of what was going on with Lucy. We get a bunch of stuff like that. We see, again, it introduces us to Gajiel and Juvia and all that. Then we move on to the Tower of Heaven, which is kind of Erza's backstory arc mixed with a character that we'll meet later called Mistagun. Oh my god, Jalal. There we go. I had to look into this one to remember what his name was. It's a whole thing. It's kind of confusing. Hopefully this will explain some of it. While visiting Akane, Erza is taken to the Tower of Heaven, a source of forbidden resurrection magic. A cult once kidnapped Erza, Jalal, and other children to build it for the purpose of reviving Zareth. They defeated the cult, but Jalal persisted in the tower's construction and now plans to sacrifice Erza to revive Zareth. He tricks the council into firing Satellite Square Etherean and obtains the power he needs to activate the tower. Basically, Jalal was a member of the Magic Council. He and Erza obviously had a history from when the Tower of Heaven, because Erza led kind of like a rebellion, or was part of a rebellion against the cult that originally tried to construct the tower. I'm trying to remember the specifics. This arc is always one of my least favorites. Something about it just never clicked with me. So Erza kind of escapes. She thought she was the only survivor. It turns out a bunch of her younger friends grew up along with Jalal and a lot of other people. Jalal basically tricked his older friends into starting this tower, thinking that it would grant a wish, while Jalal basically wants it to almost destroy the world. That's kind of the whole point. Let's see, and he's willing to sacrifice Erza, who he holds a grudge against. Erza is prepared to stop him at the cost of her own life, but Natsu eats Etherean's magic and defeats Jalal. The tower's magic goes haywire. Erza sacrifices herself to contain it, as she regrets leaving the guild behind. Natsu saves her. That's that whole thing. It's hard to explain, like, if Jalal dies, he loses his memory. It's a whole thing. He basically becomes a wanted criminal. He comes back, but I'm not sure which Jalal it is, because there's technically two of them because of the Parallel Worlds arc, which we'll get into. It's kind of confusing. Again, read a Wikipedia synopsis that's a little bit more in depth, because it is a very kind of a very confusing arc. So now we move on to the Battle of Fairy Tail. This is Loxus's arc, which shows the Loxus and his thing. It's where I believe where Natsu first eats the thunder magic, and he becomes, a hybrid dragon slayer. It's a whole thing there. So Loxus, Makarov's grandson, is unhappy with how lenient the guild has become, allowing even Godjiel to join. He and the Thunder Legion take and petrify several hostages, including Erza, declaring a battle of Fairy Tail to determine the strongest member worthy of the title of Guildmaster. Godjiel's Thunder, or not Godjiel, Loxus's Thunder Legion are, it's Loxus and three other S-class mages, whose names all are escaping me right now. They're kind of side characters. I mean, they make appearances, but they're not super important, as far as I remember. But that's kind of what happens there. Let's see here. All hope seems lost until Erza is revived, and Mistagun arrives, freeing all the hostages, enveloping the town in Thunder Lacrima with Thunder Palace. Loxus, and we're also going to an encyclopedia with terms, so I can better describe what Lacrima is. Right, Mistagun. Right. Because I mentioned this, I'm sorry, in the last arc, with Mistagun and Jalal. Basically, Mistagun is Jalal from the parallel world of Aeolus, and once the Aeolus arc happens, Mistagun leaves, but Mistagun returns after the time skip as the Fiore version of Jalal basically takes up the mantle to hide his identity. I think that's how it worked. Like I said, it's confusing. Thunder Palace, Fairy Tail frees, Loxus tries to force the game to continue, but Fairy Tail frees the town. Enraged, Loxus attempts to use Fairy Law against all who oppose him, but fails as he is unable to truly see everyone as his enemy. A heartbroken Makarov excommunicates Loxus. See, I think that's kind of the point, because Loxus was... What he did was wrong, but he was trying to make the guild stronger because he truly loves it. And like you said, he couldn't use Fairy Law because Fairy Law targets the enemies of Fairy Tail. He could not see them as his enemy. Saying that Makarov excommunicates Loxus, I think, is a little extreme, because it's a little deeper than that. Because you can actually, there's a whole scene where it remembers something that Loxus did as a child, and then Makarov gives him a sign that it's kind of a go out on a journey of self-discovery, figure out who you are, what you want to become, and everything, and grow as a person and kind of come back. Like, we will remember you, and there's always a place for you here, kind of thing. So he's banished or excommunicated, but it's not out of hatred. It's more out of for his own good. It's a punishment. It's kind of a spanking, if you will. Then we move on to the Racion Sace arc, which is actually pretty cool. We'll read this one and I'll kind of try and fill in some gaps here. Fairy Tail team up with Wendy and Carla from Kate Shelter, Blue Pegasus Ichiya, and Lamia Scales Leon to defeat the Dark Guild Racion Sace. But they are attacked and Wendy is captured. They need her to heal Jalal so he can help seek Nirvana, the reversal magic that obliterates trust. This is where Jalal, after the he's lost all of his memory after the Tower of Heaven arc and all this. The Dark Guild of Racion Sace is trying to use him to figure out this reversal magic, all this stuff. But an amnesiac Jalal sides with Fairy Tail and tries to destroy Nirvana by sacrificing himself. He fails, Erza saves him, and Racion Sace gains possession of Nirvana. Their master attempts to eliminate Kate Shelter, who know how to reseal Nirvana, but Natsu defeats him. Their duty done, the thought projected Kate Shelter disappears, and Wendy and Carla join Fairy Tail. Basically, Kate Shelter were just like projected. It was a guild of almost like astral projected spirits. So, Wendy kind of lost her guild. That was kind of her introduction to the world. Actually, this arc introduced us to two new Dragon Slayers, one being Wendy, who was the Sky Dragon Slayer, and Cobra, who was the Poison Dragon Slayer of Racion Sace. He, like Loxus, is not a natural Dragon Slayer. He didn't learn from a dragon. He actually had Poison Dragon Lacrima implanted inside his body, hence why he can use Poison Dragon Slayer magic. Basically, he breathes poison gas. He's kind of a cool character. He makes some reappearances. I'm not sure how important he is. I mean, he's not in this recap, so I'm questioning how important he's going to be for the series as a whole, but still thought I'd bring him up because he's cool. The parallel world of Aeolus, this arc, this is where shit gets kind of weird. Aeolus is a world that exists parallel to Earthland, home of Natsu Dragonil's Fairy Tail. In Aeolus, magic is not stored within the body, and they are facing a magic deficiency. It's almost like fuel in their world. The king of Aeolus uses the extra-dimensional magic Anima to turn Magnolia into a giant lacrima to be used as an eternal source of magic. Fairy Tail intervenes, but things aren't looking good until Mistigan appears. Mistigan is actually Aeolus's Jalal and the king's son, and has been working against his father. He reverses Anima, sending all of the stolen magic back. Mistigan stays in Aeolus, but Lysana returns to Earthland, and Panther Lily joins Fairy Tail. So that's where this is the arc that we find out that all the X-Seeds, or the little cat people, are from the parallel world of Aeolus. They came to our Earthland to warn the Dragon Slayers and everyone that what's going on in Aeolus, so they can stop it and keep the realms from basically eating each other. Again, the whole Mistigan Jalal thing is confusing because Mistigan returns later as Earthland's Jalal. It's a whole thing. And like I said, Panther Lily becomes Gajiel's partner, because Gajiel actually from this up until this point never had his own little X-Seed cat partner. Yeah, and then it also explains Lysana, who, due to a certain event that I'm sure will be explained somewhere in this encyclopedia, or hopefully it will, because I'm a little fuzzy on the details. Basically, something happens between her sister and brother, Mira Jane and brother Elfman. Something happens because they didn't have full control of their powers. Lysana ends up in Aeolus, and after this arc, she returns back to her home. That's that whole thing. The Tenro Island, the sacred grounds upon which First Master of Fairy Tail was laid to rest. This was the location chosen for the S-Class promotional exam to take place. Upon arrival, the participants stumble across the Black Wizard Seraph and the Dark Guild Grimoire Heart, who plot his awakening. Their master Hades strikes down Makarov, while the Seven Kin of Purgatory use their immense powers to torment Fairy Tail. Yet, even as their bodies become riddled with wounds, Fairy Tail pushes on, defeating the Seven and confronting Hades himself. Actually, in this arc, we're also shown something called Godslayer magic, which is Dragon Slayer magic, but a step up. Even though Natsu still proves them wrong that, oh, just because you're a Godslayer doesn't mean I can't beat you kind of thing. You know, again, the perseverance and everything wins out. But pretty much you saw the end of the Tenro Island arc, so that kind of brings us all of our arcs up to this point. There's still some like smaller like mini arcs and character moments, but that's all the, I guess, important bits. So now we can look at the character encyclopedia. So we have Natsu, a member of Fairy Tail and Fire Dragon Slayer. His nickname is Salamander. His partner is Happy, and he often works with Lucy. His scarf is his trademark, raised by the Fire Dragon King Igneel. He is skilled at close combat using fire. His scarf is supposed to be like his dragon scales. That's, you know, it was given to him by Igneel, who he sees as his father. Lucy Heartfilia, a member of Fairy Tail and a celestial spirit wizard. She adores celestial spirits and possesses most of the 12 golden keys of the Zodiac. She became a member of Fairy Tail after meeting Natsu. She is also a book lover and an inspiring novelist. Gray Fullbuster, a member of Fairy Tail and Ice Make Wizard. He can make ice into various shapes and use them to fight. He has a strange habit of undressing, but considered top class even within Fairy Tail. He has a good-natured rivalry going with Natsu. Yeah, I can't. God, what are the numbers? Because, you know, Gray calls Natsu Flame Brain. Natsu calls him an exhibitionist, and just like I said, like they're like brothers, but they're, you know, they butt heads a lot because, you know, they're both very similar in personality. You have Erisa Scarlet, a member of Fairy Tail and the strongest female wizard, clad always in armor. Her nickname is Titania. During battle, she uses magic known as the Knight to equip herself instantly with weapons and armor she needs. I think in the English translation it's called Exquip most of the time, but whatever. Wendy Marvell, or Marvel, not entirely sure, a member of Fairy Tail and Sky Dragon Slayer. She uses air as the source of her magic. She's skilled at using skilled at using enchants to give boost to attack and defense, as well as healing lost magic. Carla's partner, raised by Sky Dragon Grandini. Loxus Dreyer, I believe it's Dreyer, I believe is how it's pronounced. A member of Fairy Tail, Thunder Dragon Slayer, and the grandson of Master Makarov. He's one of the candidates for Fairy Tail's strongest male member. Once ousted from the guild, he was allowed back in after fighting alongside Natsu on Tenrou Island. Again, it's not explained here, but his Dragon Slayer magic is not natural. I'll reiterate this. His Dragon Slayer magic the reason it's unnatural is because he has Dragon Slayer Lacrima implanted into his body by his father, Ivan, who has gone on to form a dark guild, so he's not a good guy. We have Godgeo Red Fox, a member of Fairy Tail and Iron Dragon Slayer. By consuming iron, he can turn parts of his body into iron and weapons to fight with. His partner is Panther Lily, a former member of Phantom Lord. He is also Natsu's rival. Again, bit of a hothead. He's very much despite his looks, he's big on friends. He's kind of stoic sometimes. Good heart, but little crazy, little violent, but a good guy deep down. Juvia Loxer, a member of Fairy Tail and water magic user. She can control her element freely and even become water herself. She fell in love with Gray at first sight, which led her to leave Phantom Lord and join Fairy Tail. Not much else to say with Juvia. She's kind of goofy, very deadpan, but yeah, she's a fun character in and of herself. A member of Fairy Tail and the Guild Receptionist. During battle, she uses Satan's soul to change into demons and gain their power. Although kindly and never without a smile, lay a hand on her siblings and she'll show you no mercy. You'll see a lot of stuff when Mira Jane was a child. She was actually a little bit of a hellion. You know, she wore kind of a punk rock kind of clothes. You know, she was loud, foul-mouthed, and aggressive. Very much a polar opposite of the way she is now, where she's kind of the big sister, or really the mother to everyone in the guild. That's kind of her character now, and she's also a fashion model. You know, typically does like gravure kind of shots, if I'm pronouncing that term right. I'm trying to remember the name of it. It's kind of like their like fat big Wizardly Weekly or something like that. So you know, she's kind of the poster girl of Fairy Tail. We have Lysana Strauss, a member of Fairy Tail. Takeover Animal Soul allows her to use animal abilities during battle. Mira Jane and Elfman's little sister. She was thought dead for many years when in fact she had gotten stuck in Aedolis. She's since returned home. So Again, not a character I know a whole hell of a lot about, because she's kind of got a thing for Natsu. She's bubbly, happy. Not bubbly isn't the right word. She's kind of a demure kind of character. I like to say she doesn't stand out, which I think kind of hurts you in a guild like Fairy Tail when there's so many kind of crazy personalities. So, and then finally, the last of the three siblings, Elfman, a member of Fairy Tail. He uses Takeover Beast Soul to fight as great beasts. He is both Mira Jane's younger brother and older brother to Lisana, and he truly cherishes them. He's got a big personality and is focused on being manly. It's kind of his whole shtick. Levy McGarden, a member of Fairy Tail, she uses solid script magic to cause various effects with physical letters. She is well versed in languages and can translate any ancient language. Like Lucy, she is a book lover, and the two are good friends. Typically, you see Levy do quests that are more like finding lost items and trying to like translate ancient languages and stuff like that. So she's not really a fighter. In terms of Fairy Tail, I mean, she can hold her own, but that's not like her main focus. She also hangs out with two characters who are clearly kind of competing for her affection, called Jet and Droy. They're kind of their little team. Gildart's Clive, a member of Fairy Tail. He's a veteran wizard who uses Crush to reduce anything he touches to rubble. He's a candidate for the strongest male in Fairy Tail. He's usually off wandering the world and only rarely returns to the guild. I'd say he is the strongest member of the guild. But it's like you said, his magic Crush, basically. It's why he rarely uses doors. Without thinking about it, he just walks through walls. He's really kind of an airhead. He's a fun character. Kana Alperona, a member of Fairy Tail, good-natured. She's kind of like a big sister to the younger guild members. She joined at a young age after learning that her father, Gildarts, was a member. Her cards have many uses, not just fighting and telling fortunes. She's also a heavy drinker. That's her kind of thing. Makarov Dryer, Fairy Tail's third master. He is one of the 10 wizard saints and capable of many different kinds of magic. One he's particularly good at is giant magic. The members of Fairy Tail really rely on him, and they care deeply for them all. They kind of see him as, because Fairy Tail's kind of a guild of transients, and they're kind of all people who didn't really have another place to go. Like a lot of them, Gray's an orphan. Erza's an orphan, Natsu's an orphan, Lucy's ran away from home, Loxus doesn't really have a place to go. Like, that's kind of what Fairy Tail is. So Makarov's kind of like a surrogate father / grandfather, and he sees all the guild members as their children. He's fiercely protective of them, to the point that he will fuck your day up if you mess with them. I mean, he looks like the kind old man, but he's kind of a dirty old man in a lot of ways. You'll see him always touching girls' butts and commenting on their looks. He's also, but like I said, if you poor-heartedly mess with his family, he will mess your day up, particularly with his giant magic. Which again, he can enhance the size of his body. That's what he does. This is Mavis Vermilion, Fairy Tail's first master. Although thought to have passed away, she has taken on a thought-projected form since the S-Class promotional exam, known as the Fairy Tactician, due to her exceptional tactical skills. Basically, you'll see her floating around the guild and whatnot. She is, like I said, she's a thought-projected form. She is only able to be seen by a member of Fairy Tail. Happy, he's a member of Fairy Tail and Natsu's ex-seed partner. Fish is his favorite food. He's pretty weak, but his heart is no less valiant than Natsu's. That's kind of the cool thing about Happy. He can't really do anything, but he's definitely, you'll see him stand up to people and defend a knocked out Natsu or knocked out friends. Like, he's very loyal and very brave, even though he has no physical power. He does sprout wings, just like any of the other X-Seeds, so he can fly. A lot of times you'll see him and Natsu team up, so he'll grab onto Natsu's back and help Natsu fly while Natsu fights in the air. Carla, a member of Fairy Tail and Wendy's X-Seed partner. She tends to be quite stubborn, but nothing is more important to her than Wendy. She gets premonitions, and also Happy is infatuated with her. Panther Lily, a member of Fairy Tail and Gajiel's X-Seed partner, and Aeolus, he was the captain of the Royal Army's 1st Magic Warfare unit. He most often goes by the name Lily. He's normally the same size as other X-Seeds, becoming human-sized in battle. Macau Conbolt, a member of Fairy Tail. After Makarov and the others disappeared along with Tenro Island 7 years ago, he took care of Fairy Tail as its 4th master. Romeo Conbolt, a member of Fairy Tail and Makao's son, having hung out at the guild from a young age, he has grown quite attached to Natsu and the others. During their absence, he grew up a lot, becoming a Fairy Tail wizard in his own right. I think, nope, that's not everyone. Hades, the master of Grimoire Heart, his real name is Precht Galebalg. He was Fairy Tail's 2nd master. He plotted to awaken Zeref in order to create the grand magic world in which only wizards can survive, but he was killed by Zeref's own hand. Ignail, a humongous fire elemental dragon, his title is the Fire Dragon King. Natsu was raised by him and fondly calls him Dad. Like the other dragons who raised Dragon Slayers, he disappeared in the year X77. Yeah, X777. There's a reason why they all disappeared. It's, again, it'll be gone into. Acnologia, the black dragon of the apocalypse, the black-winged. He has tremendous strength and rarely appears before humans, but after Natsu and the others fought Hades, he revealed himself only to obliterate them in the island before vanishing. Grandini, a humongous wind elemental dragon. She's also known as the Sky Dragon. She raised Wendy, and as with the other dragons who raised Dragon Slayers, disappeared in the year X77. 77. There we go. Zeref, the most feared wizard in all of history, known as the Black Wizard. He is an immortal who roams the earth, cursed to take the souls of all those he comes to care about. Zeref is kind of an interesting character when he gets screen time. He's clearly a bad guy, but he's not just a pure bad guy. It's kind of like you say, he's cursed to take the souls of those he cares about. He lives on, a lot of times he's on Tenro just because he's trying to avoid being near people. He's asleep most of the time as well. He's an interesting character. So, okay, that's all the characters we know about at the moment. And finally, sorry, just bumped my microphone. Let's go into terminology. So we have Dragon Slayer magic, an ancient magic created to slay dragons that gives the user's body dragon-like qualities and power on the level of dragons. The users, known as Dragon Slayers, can eat things made of their element in order to gain magic power. Celestial Spirit, this is the kind of magic that Lucy uses. It can summon contracted celestial spirits through the use of gate keys. Most can only manage to summon one spirit at a time, but especially strong wizards may summon several. The Knight, this is the magic that Erza uses, which is magic that allows the user to instantaneously summon equipment stored in another location. Primordial magic is the magic that Hades was trying to summon, which is lost magic that is thought to be the source of all other magic. Its true form is a mystery. Fairy Tail is our main guild here, a wizard guild based in Magnolia. Do fairies really have tails? Do they even exist? An eternal riddle, an eternal adventure. This is the origin of its name. It was once the strongest guild in Fiore, but has since fallen on hard times. Grimoire Heart, a wizard guild that forms the Balaam Alliance together with the Racion Sace and Tartarus, a dark guild formed by Hades for the purpose of awakening Zeref and creating the grand magic world in which only wizards can survive, thwarted by Fairy Tail. Excuse me. Phantom Lord, a wizard guild of which Gagiel and Juvia, tried to fuse their names there, were once members. It had many members and branches, the main one being situated in Oaktown. They fought Fairy Tail, but lost to one of the 3 great fairy magics, Fairy Law, and disbanded. Celestial Spirit, beings that live in the Celestial Spirit world. They appear when their contracted wizard calls upon them and have access to powerful magic. And then the Celestial Spirit Key, which Celestial Spirit wizards use these to open and close gates that connect the human and Celestial Spirit worlds. Each Celestial Spirit has a corresponding key, and among them there are special 12 golden keys of the Zodiac. Exceed, cat-like beings who live in Aedolis, the world that exists parallel to Earthland. They use Era to sprout wings and fly. Dragon, a highly intelligent species possessed of great strength. They are thought to have gone extinct. It is said that a single dragon once wiped out an entire country, but some say that there were also dragons who coexisted with humans. Earthland, the world in which Natsu and the others live, only a percentage of the population can use magic. Oh, okay, I thought anyone could use it if they... Okay, I was completely wrong in the last video. My bad. ether nano, there we go, a magic particle that exists in the atmosphere. When wizards who are out of magic breathe in ether nano, they will regain magic power until they are able to use magic again. The Kingdom of Fiore, a kingdom located in the western peninsula of Ishgar. The capital is Crocus. That is where our story takes place. Magnolia, a town in the eastern part of Kingdom of Fiore. Fairy Tale is based here. In the center of the town sits one of the three great churches of Fiore, Cardia Cathedral. Bunch of question mark shit. Oh yeah, Lacrima, a crystallization of magic of which there are both synthetic and natural types. Lacrima activate by consuming the magic stored within them, so that even people without magic can use Lacrima. Okay. So, because I've seen types of magic like sold during the show to regular people, so it's because of Lacrima that they're able to use it. So it's kind of like a magic battery in a way. Again, there has been some illegal experimentation in which certain people have had Lacrima installed inside their body, i.e. guys like I mentioned earlier, Cobra, who was part of a Racion Sace, guys like Loxus, who have it implanted in their body to let them use certain kinds of magic. Jay, or I believe it's called Jules, I believe is what it is in the show or manga. The currency of Kingdom of Fiore received as a reward for completing quests. Requests, job for wizards. They can range from finding people to defeating dangerous beasts. At Fairy Tale, the truly dangerous quests are called S-Class requests, and only S-Class wizards may accept them. The council's an organization that consists of a chairman and 9 counselors. They govern the local guild leagues and guilds, maintain order, and shoulder wizard-related legislative and judiciary duties. I believe... Alright, there we go. That's all the terms and stuff. Whew, man, I need to get a drink. My throat's a little dry after all that. That's all the main stuff with Fairy Tale. Hopefully that plus all the long ranting and explanations of shit that I did in the last video will explain a lot of questions or anything that you don't know about the series up to this point. So from now on, I'll return to the Encyclopedia every so often, but for the most part, we've gotten what we need out of the Encyclopedia for now. And we can actually get into the game and really focus on that for the rest of the time without having to keep explaining shit. So, thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for putting up with this. Thank you for not skipping through this and actually letting me talk about probably one of my favorite mangas. Really, I know it seems like, well, it's one of your favorites, but you still have fuzzy spots in it. Like, yeah, well, I focus on other things. I play, like the amount of games and manga and anime and TV shows that I watch. Yeah, sometimes shit gets a little fuzzy if I haven't watched it in a little bit. So, it is what it is. But yeah, next video we will hop back into the actual main game. Thanks for watching. Social media is in the description. Like, comment, not already. Please subscribe to the channel. And until next time, guys, my name's AJ Gels. This is Something Game Channel. Thanks for watching. I'm out.